Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Talks Comics.
Welcome back.
And today's episode is going to be all about Joker Killer Smile. This is a 3-issue miniseries from writer Jeff Lemire and artist Andrea Sorrentino.
Welcome back, and yes, we are going to talk about this 3-part miniseries, Joker Killer Smile, from writer Jeff Lemire and artist Andrea Sorrentino on our episode today.
Yeah, and this is a great little miniseries from DC's Black Label. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking that little subscribe button in the bottom corner so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.
Yes.
But Brian, let them know what's going to go on for this episode.
Definitely. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the story. We're going to give our opinions of what we thought of this 3-part miniseries. We're also going to talk about the upcoming one-shot that is going to be written by Jeff Lemire as well. And, of course, we are going to talk about the Joker and some Joker storylines we'd like to recommend to you that you can pick on Amazon today.
Our story begins with the Joker sitting in his padded Arkham Asylum cell. Sitting adjacent from him is his new therapist, Dr. Ben Arnell. The two reminisce about a past crime committed by the Joker. After the session, Dr. Arnell discusses his study with his superior, Dr. Hutchins. Knowing the dangers that follow the Joker, Dr. Hutchins sets a deadline for Ben. He has only 2 weeks to figure out the Joker, otherwise he must move on to other patients within the asylum. Disappointed from his deadline, Ben heads home after a long day. There he is greeted by his wife Anna and his son Simon. Later, retiring to his room with his wife, he dozes off to sleep. He is suddenly awakened in the night, wandering, sleepwalking in his home. The next day, Ben returns to the asylum and continues questioning the Joker about his infamous crimes. Ben storms out of his session with the Joker. He runs down the hallway into a restroom. During this time, Ben begins to see horrific hallucinations and acts of violence all around him. As the story continues, Ben awakes in his home after having a vivid dream about another world that mirrors Arkham. Ben cuts back and forth between reality and his thoughts, and it's a new day, so he begins to head back to Arkham. During the session, the Joker turns his attention on Ben by mentioning his wife, Anna, and his son, Simon, threatens his patient, and storms out of his session. Dr. Hutchins sends him home. Confused by these strange images, Ben leaves his home and heads back to Arkham. Ben again storms out of Arkham. He heads back home where he's confronted by an empty home. Stumbling about, he finds the real joke of his life. Ben returns to Arkham by breaking in and knocking out the security guard in the front. He then awakens his patient, striking him in the face with a crowbar. Joker then begins to manipulate Ben, telling him he knows where Anna and Simon are. Two then insinuate a riot within the asylum, opening all the cell doors, allowing patients to roam free. Giving them the perfect cover, the two then leave Arkham to go find Anna and Simon. They are stopped by Joker's greatest foe of all, Batman. During the confrontation, Ben manages to escape. Before he does, he finds the slip of paper with the address where he can find Anna and Simon. Ben arrives, only to find that Anna and Simon are horrified to see him. Batman arrives to take down Ben and save his loved ones. We now find Dr. Arnell on the opposite side of the glass. He's realized where he is and what he has done, and how he really was the distraction the Joker needed to escape.
Brian, what did you think of this story overall?
I like this story, okay? I honestly am a huge Jeff Lemire fan, and this really was one of those intricate little tales that was woven together with the art very well. The first things that really stood out to me in this series was the dual connections between our main character, Ben Arnell, and the Joker himself. The doctor-patient relationship really played up a big thing for me. And, you know, there's a lot of this reminiscence in this story compared to Jeff Lemire's other writing, where basically you see that a character, that dual storyline, but one character kind of plagues the other character. It's very intriguing.
That is interesting, yeah.
What were some of the points that you took from this story?
So, I really like this story, but for me, the art is what really got me. So the story is good. It did start to get a little bit predictable, but I do love that whole Jeff Lemire style of writing where you focus on people's mental states, and you don't know exactly what's going on, so you might think you know what's going on in the story, but then it changes. So and I really like the pacing of the story overall. So it didn't seem like it was too long of a story or too short of a story, and each issue felt like it progressed the story in a good way. So there was a little bit of a delay between each issue for this, so the way that this story was written, the delay didn't seem too bad, It was a good, cliffhanger on each one, kind of, but it, just progressed the story in a good amount. There was one panel where, the Dr. Ben just, starts to realize that he's, gone crazy, that his family just left him, and he goes home and he sees that they're not there, and just the way that he breaks down and the way that Andrea Sorrentino draws that, it's very similar to in Gideon Falls, where you just see this great panel with all these different elements, and it just really depicts his mental state, and I really like that from the story.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk a little bit more on the art there, because honestly that really does resonate in this story. It really holds the story together, but progresses it, like you said, with the right pacing. But I really agree that Andrea Sorrentino brings that same style that he does to Gideon Falls and what he did in Green Arrow with Jeff Lemire and Old Man Logan, that surrealist kind of art, that kind of third world, out of the box kind of art that makes you kind of question the reality that this character is in. And that is definitely something that is upplayed by Andrea Sorrentino's work. He knows how to draw these panels for each character that kind of oddly progress them, but also pull their characters back at the same way. So you get to see both their pros and the cons in the characters just through the art alone. That's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Not only that, but the art definitely helps, give a good feel for the whole story. And so it reminded me a lot of Arkham Asylum. So
that's
the art in that comic or, graphic novel is just so unique, and it's a complete different style, but it just really is perfect for a Joker story. And so,
it is.
With this, miniseries, the art, had that kind of same feel, and it really pulled me into it. That was one of my favorite parts of the story.
Good, because the art did the same thing for me. But I definitely will say that it also, like I said, adds those extra layers to a character, and I definitely like the character, the way they portray the Joker in this.
Yeah.
About how he talks about his acts of violence as beauty or something that he glorifies or glamorizes.
The Joker, I love how he's just manipulating the character throughout the whole story, and even in parts of the story, the Joker makes you feel like he's not even the crazy one, that you're the crazy one. And he does that with the Doctor, with Ben, throughout the whole story.
Exactly.
And, it's just, I really love that take on the Joker.
I can agree with that. The only thing I would say is I feel like there were those complex edges and layers to the Joker, but for me, Ben's character was a very straightforward character, and I kind of started seeing, the predictability in his character early on, and that would be the only thing that I felt like maybe they could have played a little more cat and mouse between the Joker and Ben to kind of get me to that point where I could believe that, yes, that he's going insane, and, I can buy into, oh man, and you never saw that coming. So.
Yeah, but there are some good twists, with this character, twists, and, the way that their whole therapy sessions have been going on. So, I do like that. And it is only 3 issues, so they didn't have as much time to flesh out that kind of storyline. But, overall, I did really like it.
Obviously, the Joker's greatest nemesis, because they do drop him in this. So not to spoil anything, but yes, Batman does make an appearance.
Yeah, but the great thing is he's not even really part of the story.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just kind of like
he's there when he needs
he's
to be.
background,
You know? Exactly.
basically.
Yeah.
In this sense, he's there because it is taking place in Gotham City because of Arkham Asylum, the Joker, and so forth. But yeah, it doesn't switch the story to, oh, hey, it's a Joker story to a Batman story.
Yeah.
And that's why I really like that they stuck with the character to bring us this, like, different dimension or different layer of the Joker.
At the end of this series, not to spoil anything, but the Joker is now on the loose.
Right.
So there's going to be a one-shot that comes out called
Right.
Batman the Smile Killer.
That's it.
And so with the Joker being on the loose, like, I wonder if this is now going to be more of a Batman side of the story, you know, his point of view.
See?
Or if it's going to be still the Joker's point of view, and then the Batman's now trying to get him. So I'm curious to see what we're going to get from this one-shot.
I'm looking forward to the one shot. I feel like they ended this miniseries. They capped it off very well. So
I do too.
So I
yeah.
don't really see the need to continue it, but I'm not going to argue. More Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino work, I'm all for that.
You know, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't think that it's necessary. The story did end very well.
Right.
You know, and kind of like, I love how it ended the way it started. You
yes,
know?
yes.
But with the Doctor now on the other side of the glass, you know,
Yes,
which is great, you
exactly.
know. But you know, there are a few loose ends now on this story. The Joker is still loose, so
Right.
you know, like, is Batman just going to let him, you know, be out there causing mischief, or you know, are they going to conclude the story, get him back into Arkham or something? So I don't think it's necessary, but I do think there is potential for more stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait to see what we get from this.
The other cool thing is it is the 80th anniversary for the Joker this year.
Yes.
So it's going to be a huge event for DC. Also, it's the 80th anniversary for Robin and Catwoman.
Yes,
so
we got
they're
a lot of 80th anniversary.
a lot of anniversaries this year, but I think it ties in very well with the fact that they brought out this mini series this year that, you know, about the Joker. So we actually thought about this and we said, well, let's talk about a few storylines that involve the Joker so you guys can get caught up and be more familiar, or, you know, get some more background on, you know, Batman's greatest nemesis. One of my personal favorite is Death in the Family. Great storyline, phenomenal like ending, and it gives you this big twist. And of course, we do see the end of one of our favorite Robins in that series.
Comic that I want to recommend is one that I actually mentioned earlier. It's called Arkham Asylum. So
great
this
one.
is a great like graphic novel that is a great story. The art is amazing. It's not like any art that I typically see in comics, so it's more of a dark story. You know, it's all about Batman going through Arkham,
Right.
And you know, it's a great Joker story. So if you want to read a new Joker story after reading this, that is one I highly recommend.
Yeah, and also if you're a Grant Morrison fan, because
Yes.
he's the writer on that
Exactly,
series.
yeah.
Definitely worth it if you're a Morrison fan. The Alan Moore classic, The Killing Joke.
Yes.
That's another iconic Joker storyline worth mentioning here in our episode. Worth checking out as well. Highly recommended here.
And there's also a lot of elements from that story that are in the Joker movie.
And then last but not least, we can't leave out the fact that, you know, Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, they have tons of great work. From Green Arrow to Gideon Falls. In fact, we just recently did a Gideon Falls episode, so check that out if you
Yeah.
want to see some more work from both Jeff and Andrea.
And if you want to check out some of our previous episodes, you're definitely going to want to check out that Gideon Falls one.
Definitely. So those are some great storylines. We'll leave some links below so you can check those out on Amazon. But I think that pretty much wraps up our episode here
Yeah.
today on the Joker Killer Smile. We went over the story. We talked about our opinions, what we took from the story, what we liked from it. We did go over that one shot that's coming up
Yeah,
later this
Batman
year.
the Smile Killer.
That's right. And of course, we talked about the anniversaries of the Joker. We mentioned Robin and Catwoman. So many anniversaries.
yeah, a
all
lot
80th
going on in
anniversaries.
DC this year.
Definitely. So if you want to keep up to date with all of our content and keep up to date with all those anniversaries, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel here on the corner of the page. And of course,
Don't forget to check us out on
That's
social
right.
media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
well, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.